Not sure if most of you watched last night's State of the Union by Joe Biden and touting his accomplishments of his presidency or accomplishments that he thinks he's done in his presidency, as president here in America. But again, we have a lot to be wanting, especially if you are a Christian here in America and kind of looking at the state of America and how it's relating to your Christian beliefs and your biblical beliefs, you might think that Joe Biden's pretty much not doing much. Again, he's able to get up there on stage and bloviate about all these great things that he's done, but of course, under Joe Biden's presidency, we have rising inflation, gas and food prices going out the roof. The LGBTQ plus agenda is being heavily promoted and pushed in pretty much all aspects of America. And again, this is not exclusive just to Joe Biden, but under Joe Biden's presidency, the past 2 years, we have really seen a big surge and push with the LGBT agenda. The Russian-Ukraine war, again, as Christians, we might not think, oh, that's no big deal. That's not happening over here. It's not really doing anything to us. But again, when you have a president so incompetent to where our enemies don't take us seriously, you really need to start thinking about, who we as Christians vote and put in office. And I know a lot of us think, oh, Christianity, church, the separation of church and religion, oh, this other things. Again, if here on this channel, Real True Believers, we believe that Christianity and Christians in general need to get back into society. We need to get back into politics, and we need to put people in politics, in political positions of power that mirror our beliefs, mirror our values. We're not talking, and I'm not talking about creating a theocracy, so to speak. I think a lot of people, when they think or they hear about people in politics who go to church and are Christian, and we're talking about, Huckabee Sanders, to let's say even Mitt Romney, even though he's a Mormon, and other, let's say, other politicians on either side, and if they say anything about being Christian or anything about them going to church, it's immediately thought, oh, you're going to change everything. You're going to change the whole fabric of America. It's going to become a theocracy, and if you don't believe in God, you're not going to be able to do anything. But no one says that when it's the other way around. No one seems to think that, oh, if you are an atheist and you have these secular beliefs and you hold these secular traditions, then would you also push your secular beliefs into laws? No one ever thinks about it like that. It's always, as soon as someone is a Christian, or it comes out that someone is a Christian or believes in God and the Jesus of the Bible or goes to church, somehow they're just going to come in and just shove, all they want and all the Christianese into society. And that's, not really what happens. That's not, I even believe, what those people who are Christian want, let alone those people who support them want. But this article by Politico is just going on talking about the State of the Union, talking about how Joe Biden's speech was a promise to play nice with newly empowered House Republicans. But of course, we kind of we know that with thinking real true believers, we understand that he's not really wanting to play nice. That the Biden administration has been pushing through so much of their policies that have crippled and bankrupt America. I mean, again, we haven't even gone through the list. He abandoned Afghanistan with our friends and allies over there and gave it back to the Taliban, basically. Again, this leadership from this president and vice president is some of the worst I've ever seen in my life, let alone that I can ever, recall even reading through history. I don't think that we've had an administration this just horrible and just outward just literally outwardly almost seems like they don't care about the cares and the struggles of the American people. Again, we're talking high gas prices, high food prices. I mean, go to your local grocery store. You're talking, $5-6 eggs, just for a dozen. Gas prices again. As soon as Joe Biden got into office, gas prices started going up. We see the inflation immediately started to rise as soon as Joe Biden got in office. And again, I think this comes down to the point that many Christians, when it came to 2020, you know, we I cannot stress enough. Had Christians in 2020 and even in 2022, had Christians in the church gotten together and said, okay, look, we may not like Trump. We may not like every single Republican, that goes on Fox News or goes on any sort of mainstream, media or does any sort of, sound bite or sound piece. We may not always agree eye to eye with everything every single Republican does, but at least the Republican Party agrees and tries to promote our values as Christians. If Christians had thought that in 2020 and 2022, we wouldn't have this incompetent leadership right now. We wouldn't be dealing with China flying balloons and really just taking a good snapshot of America. I mean, again, folks, this is just going back to our original thing where Christianity in America is dead and it needs to be rewoken again. It needs to rise up again to become a powerhouse. We need to engage in culture and in politics because if we don't, then you're going to continue to have incompetent leaders like our president, Joe Biden, to be able to go up, like he did yesterday, to get up on stage and tout lies and speak lies about how he's done such a good job for America and that he has been helping out Americans with his policies, which clearly we have not. Me and again my wife, we always get into these arguments. We talk about pearl clutching. There are a lot of Christians who I believe are pearl clutchers. They see something, especially if they like somebody and someone in leadership, and as soon as that person in leadership does one thing wrong, it's like, oh my goodness, I can't believe he did that. And I feel like many Christians did that with Trump during his presidency. Through the 4 years of Trump's presidency, it was constant pearl clutching from pastors and evangelicals every Sunday, and Trump could do amazing things one week and then tweet something bad the following week or tweet something stupid or make fun of someone on Twitter the following week. And it's like the whole Christian body, the whole church is like, oh, I can't believe he said that. I don't want my children to look at that as a bad example. But you don't say the same thing for Joe Biden when he's pushing through the LGBT agenda to the schools, to the teachers unions, to push through the schools. You didn't see anything wrong with that. You didn't see anything wrong with them basically changing the definition of marriage and really making homosexual marriage a thing on the same level as heterosexual marriage, something that God created for man and woman. Again, too many Christians being pearl clutchers, too many Christians going along this way of, let's just live and let live, and I just feel like had the church in America stood up in 2020 and in 2022, because we had a chance in 2022 and we blew it then too. We literally blew it. Again, I'm not saying that it's all on the church's fault. Again, we don't put up, let's say we don't always nominate or put up the nominees for, a political party, they just come up. But again, it is our job, it is our duty as Christians in this country to promote and push up and prop up those people who we feel like will share our values, protect our values, and fight for our values. We need to raise those people up, but we don't as Christians in America for some reason. I mean, again, Black Christians, majority of Black Christians in America, 84% going for Democrats. And Democrats are just hell bent on pushing God out of our culture completely. I mean, they celebrate the LGBT, they celebrate, kicking God out and this whole, woke ideology that's been going on. They celebrate, when Christians are pulled down or and Christian values are pulled down. The Democrats, the left, they celebrate that. They celebrate abortions. They want more abortions. Joe Biden in his State of the Union said that he's going to try to do everything he can to push abortion back into society and to basically restructure Roe v. Wade. Again, folks, it is just a a surprising thing. It is pretty crazy to see the fact that, again, we are in this situation. And I've been saying that for a while. It's like, how did we get here? How did America get here? Again, this is not just a one time thing. This is something that has been going on for many, many years and decades. And, now we have the point where you have a State of the Union, and you even have certain other politicians in there just, heckling the president. Again, this is not to say that wouldn't have happened under Trump or under another Republican president, but it just goes to show you that when you elect incompetent leadership because you're so scared to support someone who tweets mean things and is orange and is mean and maybe had an affair, with another woman besides his wife, I get that might hit you and be morally reprehensible to you as a Christian. But what is worse? That a man who can't keep his yoo-hoo in his pants and cheats on his wife and tweets mean things versus an incompetent, old, senile president who is not taken seriously by other countries in the world. So then those other countries start causing trouble for our allies. Two, pushes abortion, which is the killing and murder of unborn children in the womb, pushes the LGBTQ plus agenda, saying that, and he had an interview with Dylan Mulvaney, who is a man, a male, masquerading and basically doing a caricature of a woman. Oh, bugs. Like, you see that? You see what happens when Christians are so pearl clutchy that we literally blank out our minds to the things that are going to be worse for us, to the children, our children. And again, Christianity, we raise our sons and our daughters in these churches and in these Christian schools, and we're literally sending them out to colleges, to these universities, these secular universities, these secular areas that are just waiting, and they're nothing but cauldrons of just worldly, ungodly stuff. We're sending our sons and daughters to these schools and universities with the armor of God made out of board, plastic, and wooden boards and aluminum foil. The sword of the spirit is not a sword of the spirit. It's a sword made out of aluminum foil, made out of tin foil. It's in the shape of a sword. Their helmet of salvation is a little, tin hat helmet on their head. Again, the breastplate of righteousness, it's just like a little wood, bark, basically. It's not even actual wood. It's just the bark on a tree, strapped to their chest. That is the type of Christian armor that we are sending our sons and daughters to when we're sending them out into these these secular universities and schools, and they don't have the word of God in them because the churches are not really teaching this stuff. And you think the parents are going to teach them at home, but a lot of times they don't. So then now again, these people and these students are sent out. And again, it all comes down to the fact that we as Christians in America, we're pearl clutchy. We don't want to say the truth. We don't want to just get behind a political establishment for any reason because we feel like, oh, well, what if they mess up? How do we as Christians become so pearl clutchy when we also believe that everyone is born sinful? If we believe everyone is born sinful, then you shouldn't be surprised when people sin because we're human. That's what we do. We need Jesus to help us with our sin. But that doesn't mean that because we are Christian, we're just never going to sin again. Or because someone, is on our side, they're never going to do anything wrong. We are Christian. I sin, you sin, we all sin. And it is the blood of Jesus that forgives us and cleanses us of that sin. But we can't be so pearl clutchy and be surprised, to the point that we actually abdicate society and allow for the election of an incompetent president. So again, that is what this video is about. Again, you can read this article on politico.com. And again, this is Real True Believer. My name is L.A. Hale, and I'll be seeing you again with another video later on today.